put your gloves on. Let's go make a custom order. Oh, I'm still recording. So the order is for 2 extra large and 1 small, but I have 2 extra shirts, and I'm going to mark them with safety pins so we remember which ones they are, because what I want to show you with the 2 colors, with the green with a black burst, which is a spiral, with not full saturation, so they want white in it. I want to show you a couple of different ways that you can do it. So I'm going to do all of these 3 the same, so they'll be consistent for the order, but then I'm going to show you on these 2 how you can do the black burst a couple of different ways. It kind of goes back to the post I did where I did like 8 different kinds of spirals. It's gonna touch in that kind of realm. So I'm gonna spiral one just for the sake of spiraling for all my new babies that are learning to tie-dye and maybe unaware. So I find a visual center by drawing a line down from the tag to the hem and then across the armpits, and it's about right here. And then I just pinch and I turn in a clockwise because I'm right-handed, and just pinch and turn. You don't want to make a valley. You want to keep it nice and flat and tight when you're spiraling, and you can hold the middle in place, and you can bring your folds around with your other hand. That's one way. Some people use forceps, some people use a fork. So many ways to spiral, but I just help mine along when I'm spiraling. I gotta fix that fold right there. Fix these folds here. We're not doing a lot of precision because we're not doing an intricate design. And I'm just going to bring it around, and I'm going to throw a couple rubber bands on it. And that is the quick and easy way to spiral. And so I'm going to get these done, and I'm going to meet you at the dye tub. Okay, before I can do this custom order, all of these are weeks old, and although they will most likely work, it's just not good product. They're going to be a little bit lighter. This is the only bad part, is if I get a little overzealous and I mix and I don't use, like this is almost full, and I don't use it all up, it's wasted. But then on the other hand, all of this here, I've had mixed and sitting since May, because I have promised a video on how long can you leave liquid dye mixed and it still be good. So we're going to use some of these colors from May that have been mixed and compare them to freshly mixed and see how they do. So first off, before, oh man, this is killing me. all of this, and we're using green for this custom order. So anyway, I gotta get rid of all of this because it's time to start new, because it's time for it's season. It's time. All right, I've dumped all my colors in. What do you guess this color is? Anybody have a guess? Let me get a piece of material. Let's see. I'm going with either a mud brown or black. Okay, are we ready to see what this whole mix is? Da, da, da. Oh. Yep. So it's looking real black. Right? Because we mixed all those colors. Oh yeah, that's black. Can you see? Oh, you can't see that. Yeah, you can. I had to look at my camera. Right there. Going up the side. I was wondering if there might be like a purple come out of that maybe. But no. So for these shirts, I'm using just 2 colors. They want green and black. Not full saturation. It's saturation. They want some white in there. So I'm using Granny Apple. I've done these shirts for them before, and I used bright green, and they want even a brighter green. So the Granny Apple is nice. The Granny Apple has a T next to it, and that means it's made with a turquoise base, which means for vat dyeing, and a couple of other things, and we'll go into that later. Turquoise needs some extra time, extra wash. It's thirsty. It's thirsty. And then I'm going to use Raven for black, and Raven has 2 asterisks beside it. So what that means is double double. So the Granny Apple has no asterisk, so that means it's 2 teaspoons per cup. If you have 1 asterisk, then it's 4 teaspoons per cup. We've got 2 asterisks, 6 teaspoons per cup. It's really thick. A lot of shaking. A lot of shaking going on with this one. So this is what we're going to mix up. Not so much of this because a little bit goes a long way, but I'm going to mix up a good size because I got 3 shirts to do, but I'm going to show you some stuff on a couple other shirts too. Okay, we're back at the station. So for the order, I'm going to do all of them the same way for consistency. And so they want green and black with some white, so they don't want a full saturation. I will say with yellow and orange, they're thirsty. So if you want some white in there, go easy with those 2 colors because they grab hold and then they just move in. So I've got Granny Apple, and I'm going to do this on both sides, but I'm going to move quickly back and forth to hit the fibers. I'm not doing a hard squeeze, trying to really like get in there, right? So when you pull it open, you see the white there, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm just going to quickly back and forth like this because I'm trying to make sure I've got some white in there, and then follow suit with my black. I'm just going to zigzag back and forth just like that. That's all, because we're just trying to do a little bit of black in there, and it's going to make a starburst. So that's all we're doing for all of these shirts. So we're just going to not do a full saturation, keep our bottle moving back and forth, hitting those fibers. We're not squeezing really hard. We're not trying to get a high volume of dye in there. And then we're going to just zigzag back and forth, boom, 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 with the black. And then do the same on the other side. Because we want... Now with some colors, like fire red, turquoise, boom, 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 boom. That's it. Nothing exciting, right? And if we check, we're still going to have, see, there's some white in there. See there? So if you're doing something with fire red or turquoise and you want some white in your design, red is going to grab a hold during the rinse because it's a double strength, because it has an asterisk beside it. So it's going to grab a hold during the washout, and a lot of the places that you want to leave white will turn pink. And the same with the turquoise. Turquoise is a heavy saturation because it's a double mix. Double strength because it has an asterisk. Ooh, gotta mix it a little more. So just be careful with your rinse. You can thicken them or gel them so they stay in one spot, and it makes it a little bit easier. And we'll talk about that in another video. So I'm going to finish this shirt up, and then I'm going to show you the other two. Okay, here's my other two shirts. So here's one, and I've got a little safety pin in it, so I don't get it mixed up with my other order, even though they're gonna look similar. But we're just going to do these a little differently. So we did on either side with the green, and then we just went back and forth with the black. So what we can do, same, we can go both sides with the green. This shirt's the small shirt. So I'm going to go both sides with the green. And I'm not doing a full saturation, just covering my ground. Then what I'm going to do is on this one, instead of going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, because if you don't have this tiny, where's my thing? So I've got this little pinpoint nozzle on this. If you've got a big wide nozzle, you're going to get a lot of black on here, and that black can take over your design really quickly. It's still pretty, but it just depends on how heavy you want to go with the black. So one way that I do with black is only on one side, is I'm going to put it in my palm so I can control how much I've got going on. And I'm just going to smear it across. Also, if you have one of these little paint things, you can put your dye on these. It's bubbling up because these little sponges need to have moisture, but just to show you. And then you can spread them across if you've got some. There. Now I've got a little moisture on here. It's not going to hurt the dye. And then now I've soaked that sponge, and then I'm just going to rub it across and just paint where I want that black to be. So there's another option for adding black on one side. I want to get some down in that. Since it's going to be the burst, I want it to be in the spiral so it comes out of the center of the shirt. You see, I'm just putting it on my finger and just kind of painting it on there, and it really controls how much black. It controls your positioning of the black. So there's another way to add black to a design without getting super heavy with the black, especially with the washout. And we only did it on the one side. Let me grab the other shirt. And here's another way, if you are wanting white to show through, especially with one color. If you're using two colors, the colors can marry and get kind of fadey in the back, but only go on one side with your liquid dye. Go a little bit heavier if you're only going to do one side. So I'm going to go heavier with my green, and I'm only doing it on one side. And I'm going to go ahead and throw it in here, and this is going to give you even more white in your design. Except for in the center, because that's where your burst is going to come out of, right? So your fabric folds are thicker. Oh, dog just barked, scared me. Your fabric folds are thicker the further away you get from the center. So you're almost always, no matter how much you put on, you're going to get some saturation in your center. See here? So I'm not going to put any dye on this side at all. And I'm going to leave it dye side up so it can push its way through. And then either use your hand and spread it across, or if you have a thin nozzle, Jiggly, stop. Put your black on there. Okay? So there's another way where you can get a... Ooh, Juggernaut! Stop! Here's another way where you can get your white, not a full saturation, by doing on one side. And like, see here, but the way your color's going to be, this is going to start to seep through. And we've got a breakout in the granny apple of that turquoise. See that turquoise line there? It's going to be pretty. So here we go. All right, so we're going to let them set for 24 hours. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Okay, so editor's note. So instead of 24 hours, it's been more than like a week. And I just took all the rubber bands off. They're all the same color, so it really doesn't matter. And I'm going to take them outside and wash them. But we have lost our white because I let them sit too long. It's not bad. It's not bad. But instead of washing it out in 24 hours, it's had time to like actually work through the fabric. And so here's my white, which would have been a little bit more. And also because I waited, now my granny apple has split into its turquoise base. And you can see, focus camera, there we go. You can see where it's got that turquoise coming out. Because it's turquoise base, where it bled over. So we've got some green, black, and blue, but let's wash them out and then I'll show them to you.
Okay, are you ready? I'm going to show you the custom order first because we did those all exactly. We followed the same steps, right? So look how similar we are. In this, we've got some white like we wanted, even though I waited too long, but it's not a full saturation. And so this is the two, very similar. Here's the third, very similar, because we did a light coat of green on both sides and then a squiggle of black, so we still got that burst pretty consistently across. There's still a spiral in there if you look, and on the smaller one we got quite a bit of white. And since I washed it out when I showed you earlier about the turquoise, I was like, look, we got some turquoise bleeding out. Once we did a wash, most of that went away as well. So there's very little, there is some, but there's very little bleed over of the turquoise from its setting for a week. But all very similar. Now let's look at the other two. So here's our original order. Our quotey fingers, like our control. Scooch in a little bit. So you can see here in this, it's a beautiful burst out of a green spiral. And then this one that we did was green on both sides, and then we brushed over some black so it would be subtle, like if you have a nozzle that's not a pinpoint, where you have more control of your black, you could put it in your hand and kind of swipe it across, put it on a sponge, you know, sponge it on, and you're going to get your black burst. It's not as prominent. Let me go on this side, yeah. Oh, yeah, let me go over here. Yeah! Think things through, Tish. So it's not as prominent. We got a big burst here, right? Here is a smaller burst. But we still have this black burst through this green. It's just not as prominent because we only did that smash on the one side. And you could tell it was this side because on this side it's kind of non-existent. So you see the subtlety, but you still have a burst. Now the other one that we did, we just did it on the one side. We spiraled it up, we put the green down, and then we put the black down on just the one side. And we got a lot of negative space. We got a lot of white in this. Came out great. So where this one is not a full saturation, we've got some white in here. Look how much more white we got in this one in comparison. And we still got this green spiral. We still got that black burst. This is the side that we put the color down on, and this is the other side. So you see how it went through. And here's why I know, because see these spots? These are the spots where it picked up the dye from the rack that it was laying on, because I didn't clean it off good. So those are the spots where this side of the shirt that we didn't dye picked up dye from being laid on that dirty rack. But still, it came through on both sides pretty equally. And we have a lot of negative space, so we've got a lot of white in here. And also, we have more, because we have more white, and then this is the back side, and it had more time because it went from the top side and soaked in through to the bottom. But we've picked up more of the turquoise in the bleed out of the color. But still, even with the black, we got white. We didn't get gray because we used just enough of the black. So when we wash it out, it didn't turn into gray, because that can happen too with using all black. So there's some different ideas depending on what kind of burst you want to do. You can do both sides in a solid color, and you can do just a zigzag of another color as your contrast. You can do one side only and get a lot of negative space, or you can do both sides in a solid color, but then only one side in your contrast and get a burst that's just a little less more pronounced. So what do you think? Look what we did today. We did 3 different designs on a spiral and got 3 pretty distinct different outcomes. And if you like these kind of videos, please like and subscribe. I'll make sure I put it in a playlist so it's easier for you to follow. You guys know the spiel by now. I've got a lot more ideas coming up for you. I've got a lot more tie-dye and a lot more just of my life. That's why I put it in a playlist. So if you really want to hit on the tie-dye, you know where to find it. If you want to see where I'm going in my RV, you know where to find that too. And remember, be peaceful. And be kind. It's important. Go ahead and branch out and try new things. Who knows? You might like it. And I'll talk to you soon.